Hello, my lovely students. It is Monday, January 9th. I'm so sorry I'm not at school. I am sick with COVID, so I don't know how long I'm going to be out. Hopefully, it's not too long. So I wanted us to keep going along so that we can hopefully use sewing machines the moment I'm back, okay? So you should have your purple sewing workbook in front of you. And if you're like, I don't know where mine is, look for it, please. And if you're like, I really lost it, then I need you to grab one from the white box that's right next to my desk. That's a bunch of blank sewing workbooks because you need to have it. I would like you guys to answer the do now question, which is what's one memory from this weekend? We are going to go over the parts of the sewing machine, and you guys are going to be filling in some workbook pages so that you know what I'm talking about because it's a lot of terminology. And then, like I promised on Friday, I will let you guys finish up some hand sewing. But here's the thing, I really, really need you to clean up after yourselves because I'm not there. And I'm not expecting our guest teacher to clean up after you, just like I shouldn't have to clean up after you. But I need the needles put away, I need the pins put away. It shouldn't be a hot mess, okay, all over the classroom, please. All right, so let's get started. You've filled out the do now, right? And now I want you to turn to page 35, okay? And I'll show you what it looks like. So on your sewing workbook, we're going to look at get up here, 35 and 36. So see, it says sewing machine parts. We're going to be filling in what each thing is called and what it's used for so that when I get back, we can start using the machines. But you are in no way allowed to use the machines right now while I'm not there. Okay, so let's go over it. You're on page 35. And remember, this video is on Canvas. So if I go too quickly, you can go and watch this yourself on your own Chromebook. All right, so meet your machine, Janome Magnolia 7318. That's the style of sewing machine that we have. All right, so again, you are in your workbooks, page 35. There's sewing machines, blank lines. So here we go. First thing is the spool pin. The spool pin is located at the top of the machine, and it's where you put the spool of thread. See this plastic thingy? You take it off, put the spool of thread on, and then put the plastic cap back on it so that the spool of thread doesn't like roll off while you're sewing. So that's necessary. Okay, the handle. That's how we carry our machine to and from another place. You're going to use the handle as well as put another hand on the bottom of the machine for extra support because part of the machine sometimes falls off if you don't hold it on the bottom as well. It's not broken, it just happens. So make sure to use the handle. Next, we have the hand wheel, very important, okay? The hand wheel helps us move the needle up and down. So when you use the pedal, that also moves the needle, but the hand wheel is us manually moving because every time we sew, we have to start with our needle in our thread, okay? But you have to move the needle up in order to put the thread underneath it. So we always rotate the hand wheel towards us, all right? So that is the hand wheel, the little button on the side. Next is the power switch, okay, on and off. So the on and off switch is important because it needs to be on for us to sew. It also provides a light near the presser foot so that you can thread the needle with ease. So like when you turn it on, a light will pop up right by the needle so it's easier for you to see. We always turn our machines off at the end of class and put the machines back. And then right next to the on and off button is the power plug. That is where the power plug connects electricity to the wall and the foot pedal. Okay, so power plug has two things, the plug that goes into the wall and the pedal connected to it. And make sure you unplug the machine when you're done. All right, there's another picture. That's the power plug and the pedal. So the foot control helps control the speed of the needle. So it's just like a car. If you were to step down all the way on the pedal, your needle's going to go super fast. So the harder you press, the faster your machine will sew. We're going to go slow to medium because most of us are beginners. And also, I don't want anyone messing up their stuff because that's what happens if you try to go too fast. You're not really able to control your fabric, and then your lines are going to look really jagged and not great. All right, this one's really, really important. Back stitch or reverse stitch. So we have to back stitch at the beginning and end of when you start. You know, with hand sewing, how you tie a knot to begin and end. Backstitch is essentially that because our machines don't tie a knot for us, but what we do is we sew forward and then we sew backwards over it to make sure it doesn't come undone. So if you don't backstitch at the beginning and the end, your stitching will fall out, and we don't want that. Right next is machine settings. So we're not going to mess with this much, so it should always be set. The stitch width should be at 3, so that's how wide your stitches are, right? The selected stitch is A. You can change the stitching and it'll change the shape of it, but for right now, we're just going to go with A, which is like a basic running stitch. And then our length of our stitches, we want a 3. And then our tension, we want a 3. Okay, so we're not going to mess with this for now, but that's just what the machine should be set at. And I also have a poster on it's in the front of the classroom, like above the Promethean board, that shows these settings. So every time you sew, you sit down and you make sure your machine isn't messed up. Because again, if your tension's messed up, then like sometimes the stitching gets like way too close together and it bunches up the fabric. So you just want to make sure that it's all the same. Okay, stitch selector specifically. The letters are a guide to show you what type of stitch you're going to sew. So A is like a running stitch, okay? Bobbin covers and bobbins. So there's 2 types of thread that we put in sewing machines, okay? One goes through the needle, one is through a bobbin, which is inside the machine, okay? You need to insert the bobbins because we need both threads, all right? So these bobbins are very easily lost, so you need to be careful with them. But you have to pop the bobbin cover, which is this clear thing, off by pulling the black rectangle. It pops the clear cover off, you put the bobbin in, and I'll show you how to thread it when I get back. But you always want to make sure at the end of class your bobbin and your bobbin cover are not lost, because bobbin covers are really easy to lose track of if you don't put them back on correctly. Next is the machine sewing needle. It's heavy duty. Notice that the eye of the needle or the hole is right at the point. So yes, when you thread the machine, you are going to be putting the thread through that needle. All right, presser foot lever and presser foot. Presser foot is this silver thing, okay, that helps us guide our fabric. The presser foot level raises and lowers it, okay? So again, it's manual. So you push it up or push it down. So you have to raise your presser foot in order to put your fabric underneath it, and then you lower your presser foot once you're ready to start sewing. If you don't lower your presser foot, the thread can get all tangled, and again, your lines will not be straight. It'll be all jagged, and I'll show you guys when I'm back. Okay, thread cutter. Just like what it sounds like. You cut thread. It's like a little pair of scissors almost that's right on the edge of the sewing machine, which is very convenient. All right, so we just went through all of those pretty quickly, and if you're like, I don't know which line this goes to, I included the names for each thing. So spool pin, like we talked about, needle, presser foot, thread cover, bobbin cover, back stitch or reverse stitch, and then the stitch selector and length. All right. And so remember, if you're not getting this in time, you can go to Canvas, play this video, pause it, look at the slides. And then we've got the hand wheel, the presser foot, the power plug, power switch, and then the pedal. And I didn't put a line here, but this is also the handle, remember? All right, so now that you have all of the sewing machine parts written down, I want to briefly go over safety because I don't want anyone accidentally like stabbing themselves or messing up their fabric. And we need to be safe when we're using sewing machines. I mean, at all points, because I don't want anyone getting hurt. But so we're going to go over safety. So we want to make sure we keep our fingers a few inches away from the presser foot and the needle, okay? So we're going to guide our fabric, and it's okay for your fingers to be a few inches, but like you shouldn't be putting your fingers under the presser foot like that, okay? So please just don't do that. Don't let anyone touch the pedal while you're using the machine. So just like if you were driving, you wouldn't let someone else grab the steering wheel or push the gas pedal. You're sewing, so you need to have control over the pedal. If somebody else was to push it for you and you didn't realize how fast they were going, like that's when it can get really unsafe, because what if your fingers went under the presser foot because you didn't realize how fast the fabric was going? So we want to make sure that we don't let anyone touch the pedal when you are sewing. If fabric or thread gets stuck in the machine, which will happen, do not yank it, okay? That could break a needle, that could break your fabric. We don't want to yank things. So if stuff gets stuck, you always want to bring the presser foot and the needle up. And then we use scissors to kind of like cut out the thread that's holding our fabric maybe, or we have to undo the plate right there and see what's getting stuck inside of the machine. And we have all those tools. So you guys are going to kind of be like mechanics. Like if stuff gets broken, you have to fix it. And I have the tools, but you can do it. Okay. And then next, you need to make sure you check your needle screw. So the needle's right here, but it's screwed in, right? And if the screw gets loose, it can like fall out or break or whatever. So we want to make sure it's tight. And sometimes after a lot of use, needles will break. Don't stress about it, but also just be really careful that we're checking the needle screw so that it doesn't like pop out at us. All right, so reminders. Keep fingers away from the needle and presser foot. Don't let anyone touch the pedal when you're using it. Don't yank things out of the machine. Check the needle screw. And then this one I just added, when in doubt, get help. So remember, there's only one of me and there's like 30 of you. So you may have to wait a moment, but we also have a decent amount of students who have taken this class before. So I want you guys to utilize your peers as well, okay? If this sewing machine comes really naturally to you, or you've done this at home before, or you've been in this class, please help others, okay? Because it's a new skill. So we have to help each other out. All right. This is just a reminder of what we set our machines to. When we sew, we have thread coming from our spool pin up top and from the bobbin. Okay, so two different threads that we have to like thread within our machine, and I'll show you guys how to do that when I get back. So now we have gone over all the sewing machine parts and you have written your notes in your sewing workbook. We are going to have a quiz on all of the parts by the end of the week. So if you did not get all of these written in, please ask a table mate or look at the slides on Canvas, right? Or rewatch this video, but you need to have those written down. Remember, we write things down because it helps us remember and memorize. And it's a lot of words that a lot of us probably haven't heard before because it's different terminology, right? So now, about half of you in every class are done with your pillow and your hand sewing practice, but only about half. I have not updated Skyward because I left the clipboard that I put all your grades on from Friday on my desk. I didn't realize that I wasn't going to be coming back for a little while. So if you have completed your mini pillow project and your hand sewing practice, you can make another mini pillow for extra credit / to bring your original pillow grade up. So if you got like a 2.5 and you want to get it up to a 3, 3.5, or 4, you can make another mini one, okay? I have scrap fabric in the cupboard behind my desk. Now, the fabric's a hot mess, so if a bunch falls out, please make sure to clean up after yourselves and you put it away, right? And if you're not done with your mini pillow project, which a lot of you took home over the weekend to finish your running stitch, right? Make sure that we're going to stuff it with that polyfill in the back and we slip stitch it close, okay? Which should be an invisible stitch. You are not just like, please take your time on the slip stitch. Use videos on Canvas if you need help or ask your table mates. I'm really counting on you guys to clean up after yourselves to keep the sewing boxes looking not like a hot mess. Because we want every class to be able to use this stuff. And also we don't want our guest teacher having to clean up after you. And I don't want to come back to a hot mess of a classroom. All right. So I'm trusting y'all. I'm counting on you. I hope you have a good Monday and that I get to see you soon. Love you lots. Bye.